You're walking down the hallway. You see that usual group talking. They see you. You see that they saw you. For a second you think about walking past, but something in you decides to try. You walk over, say hi, and that thing happens. That microsecond of hesitation, that quick look they exchange with each other, that smile that takes half a second too long to appear. They respond. Of course they respond. They're polite, but you feel it. Feel that you interrupted something. Feel that you weren't expected there. Feel that your presence changed the vibe in a way no words can describe. It's just a feeling, but it's so real, it hurts in your body. You try to make conversation. They respond, but the answers are short. Eyes dart away. Someone checks their phone. Another remembers they need to be somewhere. The conversation falls apart, and you're standing there, feeling the ground disappear under your feet. You didn't do anything, didn't say anything wrong. You just existed. And your existence, apparently, was too much. You walk away, keep going, but it stays, sticks to you. That bitter taste in your mouth, that tightness that starts in your chest and rises until it becomes a knot in your throat. You get home, and it's still there. Burning, you replay the scene 1,000 times, trying to understand what you did wrong. But there's nothing. It wasn't what you did. It was who you are. And who you are, somehow, doesn't fit. Your head won't stop, keeps looking for the mistake, keeps trying to understand what you did that was so bad, but there's nothing. It wasn't what you said or didn't say. It was who you showed yourself to be. And who you are, apparently, doesn't work. You wake up the next day with that weight on your chest. Pick up your phone. That person who always responded fast now takes forever, or doesn't respond at all. You walk into the room and the vibe shifts. Conversations that flowed now freeze. Looks that included you now pass through you like your glass, transparent, invisible, in the way. And nobody needs to say anything. That's the part that hurts most. If someone came and said, "Look, you messed up here, you could fix it." But no. The punishment comes in silence. Comes in the form of distance, polite coldness, smiles that don't reach the eyes, invitations that stop coming. You start doubting everything. Are you too much? Do you feel too much? Do you exist too much? And then comes that question that sticks in your head and won't let go. Why does being real hurt so much? We grow up hearing that honesty matters, that people value authenticity, that being fake is wrong and being real is right. They sell you this beautiful story that you should be yourself, that the world needs your truth. But nobody prepares you for the moment when you discover the lie. Nobody tells you that being real is only accepted when it's convenient, when it doesn't scare anyone, when it doesn't make anyone uncomfortable, when it fits perfectly in the box they prepared for you. Think about that coworker who never disagrees with anything, who nods at everything, who laughs at bad jokes, who always says what everyone wants to hear. He's never a problem, never left out, never feels that social freeze you know so well. He figured out the game, realized that the version of himself people want isn't the real one. It's the edited version, the safe version, the one that doesn't disturb anything. Now look at yourself. Remember that specific day, that meeting, that lunch, that moment with friends. You said what you really thought, weren't rude, didn't attack anyone, just honest, and watched the temperature of the room drop, watched expressions change. In that moment you lost points in a game nobody taught you the rules to. Society is smart, really smart. It doesn't come to you and say, "Don't be yourself." That would be too obvious. Instead, it lets you be yourself, and then punishes you, in a way so subtle you barely notice. It's an invitation that doesn't come, a message left unanswered, a conversation that dies when you approach, a group that forms without you, small exclusions, small social deaths that kill you slowly. There's an invisible contract. Everyone signed it, except you. And the contract says, you can be yourself, as long as it's the version of you that doesn't threaten anyone's comfort. The version that doesn't question, the version that fits. And the cruelest part, nobody admits this openly. That would reveal the game. So everyone lives in this theater, where they pretend they want truth, but punish whoever delivers it. It's a system that says one thing and does another. And you're stuck in the middle, trying to understand where you went wrong. People love authenticity. Share quotes about being real. Praise those who have the courage to be different. But only when that difference is palatable. Only when that truth is pretty. Only when it doesn't disturb anything important. But when you show a side that makes people uncomfortable, when you question something everyone pretends to accept, then the story changes. Then you're not authentic anymore. You're difficult, complicated, heavy, too intense. And the insane part is you didn't change anything, just stopped pretending. And that, apparently, is unforgivable. There's a specific cruelty to this process. When you're punished for being real, you don't get a formal accusation. Nobody knocks on your door and says, "You're being yourself too much, and it makes us uncomfortable." Instead, you just feel it. Feel the freeze. Feel the distance. Feel that something changed, but you can't pinpoint what. It's like being in court without knowing the crime. Like being judged by laws nobody explained to you. You search for the mistake. Replay every word in your head 1,000 times, trying to find the exact moment you crossed the line. But the crime wasn't something you did. The crime was something you are. It was stepping off script, not being the character they expected from you, revealing there's a real person underneath the mask. And real people have opinions, have feelings, have boundaries, have desires that don't match the group's script. This corrodes you from the inside in a specific way. Every word before leaving your mouth goes through 3 filters. Every emotion before showing on your face is calculated. Every opinion before being shared is measured on the scale of acceptance. You become hostage to the approval of people who don't even really know what they want from you. They just know what they don't want. And what you are, apparently, is on the list of what doesn't work. You live with a permanent knot in your throat. That constant fear of being too much, feeling too much, thinking too much, existing too much. Like you take up more space than you have the right to. Like your real presence is an invasion. And some days are worse. Days when you're surrounded by people and feel completely alone. More alone than if you were actually alone. Because there's nothing more painful than being surrounded by people and realizing none of them really see you. They see the edited version, the safe version, the shadow of what you really are. And you're stuck in that weird place of being present but absent. Speaking but not heard. Existing but not seen. Maybe you recognize this feeling. Maybe you have a specific moment stored away that still hurts when you remember. That day when you realized being yourself has a price, and the price is high. Silent exclusion, polite distance, punishment without crime. These things keep churning in your head because they hurt in a place words can't reach. It's a pain with no medicine. That just gets deeper the more you try to ignore it. And when you finally see the whole game, something changes in you. Suddenly, you see the invisible rules, the unspoken codes, the smiles hiding knives, the conversations that only work because everyone's lying together. You're stuck in that strange place of seeing too much, and seeing too much is a curse, because now you know. Know that society sells a beautiful fantasy about individuality, about being unique, about finding your voice and using it. But when you actually find it, when you actually use it, the bill comes, and the bill is brutal. You become the weird one, not because you did something morally wrong, but because you did something socially dangerous. You were real. And truth, in the middle of so much theater, is transgression, is threat. It's always the same mechanism. The group needs order, needs predictability, needs everyone to dance the same dance. And whoever steps out of line, even to be honest, becomes a problem. Not because they hurt anyone, but because they show it's possible to live outside the script. Because if you can be different and survive, then everyone can. And then the whole system of pretending that keeps the group together falls apart. You're not punished for what you do. You're punished for what you represent, for the risk you bring just by existing outside the line. Look at the groups you've been part of. School, work, family, friend circles. There's always that one who doesn't fit perfectly, who thinks a little differently, who feels a little differently. And always, always, that someone pays. Subtle isolation. Polite exclusion. The label of complicated, and the crazy part is, nobody admits they're doing this. Everyone swears they're open, tolerant, celebrate differences. But in practice, when real difference shows up, comes the discomfort. And discomfort becomes distance. You learn this the most painful way possible. Trying to be accepted, being yourself. Discovering that acceptance has terms and conditions, has fine print nobody showed you, has an invisible limit you only discover when you cross it. And the limit is always the same. You can be yourself as long as it's the version of you that doesn't threaten anyone's peace, that doesn't question the status quo, that doesn't make people feel uncomfortable with their own lies. It's a broken contract from the start. They promised you being authentic was the way. That truth sets you free. That honesty builds real connection. But they forgot to tell you those connections only exist when everyone agrees to pretend they matter more than comfort. You're trapped with no way out. If you hide, you survive socially but rot inside. Each day, a piece of you dies. You become a stranger to yourself. But if you show yourself, if you're real, you live inside but die socially. You feel whole but completely alone. You recognize yourself in the mirror, but don't recognize anyone around you anymore. There's no good choice, no right answer. Just the choice between which type of death you prefer, which type of pain you can carry without breaking. The weight of this is physical, real. It's that knot in your throat that becomes constant company. It's that pressure in your chest you wake up feeling. It's that exhaustion of having to translate who you are into a language others can process without getting scared. It's the exhaustion of pretending you don't see what you see, pretending you don't feel what you feel, pretending everything's fine when nothing's fine, existing at half capacity to not take up too much space. And some days you seriously think about going back to the mask, back to the game. Because at least then you have guarantee of not being left out, guarantee of having a place at the table. But there's a problem. Once you've seen, you can't unsee. Once you've tasted being real, even for 5 minutes, the fake becomes unbearable. Too obvious, too glaring, too painful. You see the charade everywhere. In empty conversations, in mechanical smiles, in copied opinions, in the way everyone repeats the same phrases like they're original, and you can't get back in. Can't pretend you don't see anymore. Something broke in you. Or maybe something woke up, and now you're stuck in this limbo of not fitting anywhere. Not in the world of those who pretend, because you can't do that anymore without feeling sick. Not in the world of those who are real, because that world is so small it barely exists. You're between worlds. And between is the loneliest place there is. It's funny, in a bitter way, how all this works without anyone needing to coordinate. No secret meeting, no manual. It's automatic. You just feel it. Feel you're not as welcome as you were. Feel you became a burden instead of a presence. And feel that somehow, twisted as it is, it's your fault. Even without knowing what the crime was, what you're feeling has structure, has logic. It's the way groups have always maintained control, to make sure nobody steps out of line without paying the price. You're guilty before being accused, judged before knowing the crime, condemned without the right to defend yourself, because the accusation never comes clearly. Nobody's going to come and say, you're being punished for being too real. That would be admitting the system, revealing the game. So the punishment comes disguised, comes as natural drifting apart, as irreconcilable differences, as paths that naturally separate, like there was no choice involved, like it was destiny. But there's nothing natural about it. It's constructed, it's chosen. It's a system protecting itself from those who won't play along. And you, being yourself, didn't play along. And now you're paying. You live in a court where rules change without warning, where you're judged by criteria nobody explains, where the sentence comes before the hearing, where guilt is presumed, where what you did doesn't matter as much as what you are. It's the system above the person, order above truth, the group above the individual, collective comfort above personal honesty. And you alone don't have the strength to change this, don't have the power to break it. You just have the choice. The same bitter choice you've always had. Keep being yourself and bear the price of loneliness, or die a little inside every day to fit in a mold that was never made for you. Neither option is good. Neither option heals. And maybe that's what hurts most deep down. It's not just the rejection, not just the exclusion. It's the clear awareness that no matter what you do, the system wasn't designed for those who are real. It was designed for those who obey, who bend, who accept. And that awareness hurts in a place nothing can reach. Because you realize the problem isn't you, never was you, but you're the one who pays. You're the one who bleeds. You're the one carrying the weight of a sick system that punishes health. Then you're left with this question. This question that won't leave you, that wakes you up at night, that appears every time you're alone, that hurts more each time you think about it. The question is simple, devastatingly simple, but the answer doesn't exist. If society never wanted your real self, what exactly is left of you when you strip away everything that's performance? Because we spend our lives thinking we have a choice, that you can be accepted being real, that one day people will see, will understand, will value it. But what if they don't? What if it's not possible? What if the price of being you is always, inevitably, loneliness? And there's something else. When you finally accept this, when you stop fighting against it, something strange happens. You don't become free, but you become clear-eyed. And clarity, in this world, is a double-edged sword. These questions don't end here. They multiply, go deeper, go to darker places. And if you feel this weight, if you recognize this emptiness, if you carry these wounds, maybe it's worth continuing to look at this with eyes wide open. Because there are more layers underneath, more hidden truths, more things nobody talks about, but everyone feels. And I'm going to keep digging deep into this. Keep pulling it apart. Keep showing what's underneath the pretty surface they sell us. If this makes sense to you, if this touches something real, maybe it's worth sticking around. Because these conversations don't stop, they just go deeper.